Hello everyone, we are coming to you from out in the field, out in the woods. Today we're at the Lumbert Pond Conservation Area. I'm Sarah Colvin here with Conservation Agent Martin Wonderly. Martin, good morning.
Good morning.
And thank you so much for bringing us out to this beautiful space here in town.
Oh, glad to have you out here today.
So this is one of the, I guess, the newest conservation areas here in town. A new parking lot has been built, a new access trail. So tell me, what can you tell me? Can you give me an overview of the Lumbert Pond Conservation Area?
Well, it's definitely, the access to this area is definitely the newest. The conservation parcels were in fact here since the 1980s, but we did not have this parking lot, and we could not close off some access trails from vehicles because there was a piece of private property in the middle of it until it was recently purchased a few years ago. So in Lumbert Pond Conservation Area, we have a mixture of pine and hardwood oak forests that covers most of the upland area here. There's freshwater pond, Lumbert Pond, on one side of Lumbert Mill Road, and there's another pond called Flowing Pond on the other side of the road. The conservation area covers 61 acres. There's roughly a mile of hiking trails in this area. We did have the Barnstable Department of Public Works just create our new parking lot and this connector trail that leads you into the heart of the conservation area. There is also some wetland marsh areas actually off behind us. You kind of see a sunken area with some different makeup of trees. It's actually rather wet in there year-round, and that drains into Lumbert Pond.
Great.
So it's a pretty unique ecosystem and natural area that you find in coastal areas in southern New England.
Absolutely, and I think a lot of our conservation areas we see that kind of mix of almost the swampy areas and the lowlands and the trees that you described, certainly pretty typical for our conservation areas. Right. So you just mentioned that we created this new trail. We're standing here kind of at the crux of the old trail and the new trail. What does it take to kind of build a new trail? I think so many of these trails have been here for so long, they're old footpaths, but when you're kind of making a new trail, what kind of things do you have to take into consideration?
Well, the area of the parking lot was chosen for ease of entry and exit by vehicles and visibility from the side of the road. So from that point, we had to decide what was the easiest way to get hikers and dog walkers and mountain bikers into this area, the shortest way possible, doing the least amount of damage and getting them the easiest way possible. So you look at some of the topography, the slopes and hills, and try to avoid areas that are really thick with understory trees and shrubs and brush. So basically I hiked from the new parking lot to this existing trail, flagging some areas where the trail could be placed, and then I kind of left it up to the DPW Highway Division, led by Charlie Genetasio, to allow them to decide the exact path, but follow my general guidelines with the pink flagging tape. And then they have to bring in some heavy equipment and remove brush and cut some small trees and saplings. I avoided every large tree, so we didn't take down anything more than an inch and a half in diameter, and clear some down trees and some logs out of the way. And then you have a nice new access trail that's already being used within less than a month of its existence.
Absolutely, and as we were coming in today, there was a couple of women and their dog who was really enjoying it here, and yeah. So it seems like there are so many different things you can do here. Whether you just want to kind of take a walk, maybe take a jog around a good mile loop, or ride your mountain bike. But I think a lot of people come here to fish as well. That's something that's fun to do in Lumbert Pond.
Yes, there's definitely plenty of fishing in Lumbert Pond. It's a freshwater body of water. It's full of largemouth bass, yellow perch, maybe some small pickerel, amongst all the other minnows and organisms they're feeding on. At one point, there may have been a river herring population in this pond. I know river herring were spotted by the Natural Resource Department in Barnstable a few years ago in Flowing Pond. So those fish are swimming all the way up from the Bumps River through the Skunknet River, under 28 and through some fire management lands that the town owns into this conservation area.
Wow.
So fishing is definitely enjoyed by people almost year-round in Lumbert Pond, and there's easy access from the hiking trails, and there's actually a few areas that you can park on the side of the road near the pond that are safe enough to get out and adventure over to the pond from.
What kind of wildlife, Martin, can people expect to see out here at Lumbert Pond?
Really, you could see just about anything you could see anywhere else on Cape Cod, which is a lot of wildlife, and we're seeing more of this wildlife. Possibly because we're allowing this wildlife to come back in and we're not bothering it, or we're living, coexisting with it. So you can, depending on the time of day you're here, your chances of running into raccoon, red fox, all types of birds. You have red-tailed hawks. You could be out in the evening, you might hear owls starting to call to each other. There'd be short-eared owls, barred owls, screech owls. They all make different noises. Then you have the different fish species that are in the ponds. You have possibly some box turtles wandering around through the upland forested areas. Your typical, mixed hardwood ecosystem animals, squirrels and chipmunks, some bigger predators like the coyote, and maybe at one point a black bear walked through here a couple years ago.
And I guess you could see the elusive fisher cat as well. We've been spotting those here and there, and hearing them. So
they are very elusive, and they don't really want anything to do with humans. So if they will see or hear you first, and if you're lucky, you might see them running away from you.
Exactly.
But they're a large weasel from related, not too far related from river otters. So
yeah, an interesting creature indeed. So Martin, talk to me a little bit about the management of an area like this. I think obviously, conservation areas are here to protect the species that are here, as well as kind of preserve this open space in perpetuity. But what goes into kind of making sure that it's still accessible for the people that want to use it?
Well, there are definitely regulations that try to keep these conservation areas healthy from an ecosystem standpoint for the wildlife and the flora that exist here, and these regulations also try to keep people safe and allow the conservation land to be enjoyed for the years to come. We prevent we prevent campfires, which could lead to forest fires. Hunting is prevented in this particular area. It's too small. There are hunting regulations that would prevent you from hunting within a certain distance to building or a roadway, and this area is just too small. You wouldn't have anywhere to hunt anyway, so we just don't allow hunting in Lumbert Pond area. There's a lot of mixed uses that you want to try to accommodate, and most importantly, you are protecting open space for the public to enjoy, and you're preventing this land from having been developed and creating more congestion and a larger population in the area.
Absolutely. So again, follow the rules. Don't bring any trash in, or don't leave any trash here. Keep your dogs on a leash, that sort of thing, and just be cognizant that there might be other dog owners or walkers or perhaps joggers or even mountain bike riders out here, and everyone should kind of share it together.
Yes, there are certain trail etiquettes that are followed throughout the country and probably the world that are everyone yields to people on horseback. Bicyclists yield to anyone, people walking or on horseback, and hikers only have to yield to those on horseback. So there's kind of a triangle of who yields to who out on the trails, and definitely don't leave any litter behind. Just take only pictures and leave your footsteps behind.
Absolutely. So Martin, is there anything else about this beautiful area that you'd like to let our viewers be aware of?
There's some interesting history behind this particular area. On the south side of Lumbert Mill Road, there was some previous cranberry farming going on in the 40s. Much of this land was purchased in the 1980s by the town of Barnstable, and most of the hiking trails are on the north side of Lumbert Mill Road. And if you're curious and you would like to go see some of the conservation area on the other side of the road, there's only a short trail in near the pond. You just want to practice your orienteering skills before you decide to adventure too far off any trails.
Good idea.
So
Bring a compass with you.
exactly.
know where you are. But you can see the evidence of those cranberry bogs are still there. I would assume they're not still active, are
No,
they?
they're not active, and the evidence you might find were old ditches that were cut into the ground to drain the bog or to fill the bog with water. You will see a lot of smaller trees. They haven't quite grown as tall as the rest of the trees in this area, so they've kind of taken over that open field, open bog, and they've become populated with small pines and spruce and other understory trees.
Wonderful. Well, Martin, I thank you so much for letting us come out here and enjoy this beauty, and we'll have to come back again and take another walk. Thank you so much.
Definitely enjoy the hiking.
Thank you. We are at, again, the Lumbert Pond Conservation Area with Martin Wonderly, our conservation agent. I'm Sarah Colvin.